Yeah, it fell off. It fell off the.
It was on the Velcro.
Yeah.
Got it?
Perfect.
Back on. How you feeling?
Welcome, everybody, to the regular Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Is there a motion to open tonight's meeting? Trustee Rothrock. Second, Trustee Rosen Asher. All in favor? Meeting is hereby open. You're going to be called on a lot today.
Yeah.
First meeting. I'm going a little bit. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, that would be good.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At the workshop, welcome everybody, it's good to see so many faces here. At the workshop meeting, we acknowledged that former Deputy Mayor Sullivan was no longer eligible to be on the Board of Trustees because she's moved out of the village, and we swore in our newest appointment, new trustee, Laura Rothrock. So she's officially a trustee serving out the rest of Deputy Mayor Sullivan's term, which is December 6th, I think, of 2026. So welcome, Laura. We appreciate the fact that you volunteered to be on this. And what I'm going to do is just jump a little bit down on the agenda, and we're going to swear in Christy Nell as the deputy mayor, which is the mayor's appointment. So why don't we go down and do that?
The newsletter.
Just a title.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, to carry out the duties of Deputy Village Mayor of the Village of Dobbs Ferry to the best of your ability.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah.
While we're at it, why don't we clap for Laura Rothrock, our first meeting. So we have a really packed agenda today. So the first item is a presentation by the Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I see that you guys are here, so the floor is yours to make a presentation.
No backup.
First of all, I'd like to thank the men and women of the Dobbs Ferry Ambulance Corps who took it upon themselves to want to be here in support of what's going on with the Ambulance Corps. So I'd like to commend them for taking their time out and being here. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joe Rooney, and Swap Neal here, First Lieutenant Eddie Federini, and I have been dedicated members for the Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps for over 15 years. I have had the honor of serving as president for the past 4, while Swap has been captain for 7 of the last 8, and Eddie has had numerous positions over the past 5 years. We remained committed to this mission and operations of this organization through one of the most challenging times, including the COVID-19 pandemic, when many stepped away and never returned. Our organization stands here today, weakened and in severe financial distress. We have not arrived at this point without the help of the very body we stand in front of. For over 60 years, our members and eventually paid staff have responded to medical emergencies within the village, helping residents, students, commuters, and visitors alike. We have saved countless lives, including several cardiac arrests. However, we have forced financially difficulties that SWAP first approached the village with in 2015. Foreseeing our financial insolvency over a decade ago, this insolvency occurred faster during the COVID-19 pandemic when our members worked tirelessly and without acknowledgement from this body. After months of negotiations, the village provided us with funding to reopen our doors. As this funding continued, we were asked for multiple proposals to provide staff and operate 911 medical services to the village. Each time we put in hours and hours of effort to present a plan that was fair to the taxpayers of Dobbs Ferry while also maintaining our high standard of care. Each time the village moved the goalposts and asked for new items, we complied. Current and former village trustees made verbal promises to us about funding, including paying us for a used ambulance we purchased last year for $85,000, something that we would not have done without such assurances. Then in June of last year, the village, out of cut off funding, citing that payments to us and our services were illegal. We inquired why it was illegal, but we were never given an explanation. Fast forward to several months ago when we were on the absolute cusp of insolvency with aging ambulances, a building that leaks from the roof when it rains, and the inability to purchase uniforms for our personnel. The village finally funded us through the end of 2025 with one caveat: a merger with Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps. As we face with the fate of merge or die, we have embarked on a merger. Over the past 2 months, we've had multiple discussions with IVAC on a path toward, and in recent weeks, we have developed our own financial model for a combined entity. We will be working in the upcoming weeks to finalize the financials and begin the legal process of merging entities. However, we do this in protest. We do not believe that this is the best interest of the residents that we have been elected to represent. Merging the Dobbs Ferry Police Department, the Department of Public Works, the school districts with surrounding villages would also save money, but to what cost? Should Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps close its doors, the village will likely be upwards to spend millions of dollars annually for a third-party coverage, still with no guarantee of 24/7 responding to our town. A fact this board should be very aware of since they did the search back in 2021. Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps has remained operational only through the efforts of myself, my Captain Swap, and my First Lieutenant Eddie, along with the rest of the board of directors. Without our commitment, the doors would have closed long ago. I'm proud of what we've managed to accomplish with so little, but it's not sustainable. Our update is this: Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps will continue to work with IVAC and will complete the merger. But once that is complete, the village of Dobbs Ferry will still have to contribute financially to the new entity, and the residents will suffer. Thank you.
So I'm assuming you have a presentation to make, or is it just a statement you're going to make?
It was just a statement.
You don't have a presentation at all?
Were there specifics on presentation that you wanted? I thought it was just an
You
update.
you know, and I'm not going to lose my temper, because, and let me just say this, I appreciate everything that you've done. I appreciate everything that you guys have all done. You men and women have been the lifesavers, literally, to the village of Dobbs Ferry. But for you to come up here under the guise of a presentation is totally disingenuous, and you've stated stuff that is not true. And I'm not going to get into a back and forth on this, but if this is your presentation and this is the way you want to leave it, fine, thank you, and you can just sit down.
Mayor Rizzo,
Look, we're not going to go back and forth on this. We gave you time for a
Our
presentation.
understanding
We
was-
told you months ago, September 9th was the date of a presentation. We asked you for the presentation. You never gave it to us. I assumed you were going to have something to present today, and you didn't.
Our
So
understanding-
fine.
our
That's your choice. You're fine to do that.
Our understanding was that the presentation was on the status of the merger discussions, which Joe has said we've done the financial model on our side. We're meeting with IBAC in the coming weeks, and we'll be continuing with the merger.
Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
And you guys could all stay or leave it for the rest of the meeting. It's up to you. Next presentation is the Carney Group on the affordable housing project. The presentation you said was over. If you want to stay for courtesy of the floor, you can stay for courtesy of the floor. Carney Group?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
We can contract services above and beyond what we do by law. We're not paying. It's not going to be millions of dollars. It's just as illegal as it is now.
So as you're teeing it up, let me just advise everyone that the village has been concerned about the lack of housing in this village. The cost of living here has, as we all know, has escalated. And what we're looking for is an opportunity here to have housing where people who are seniors, people who are just graduating college or high school or just have entry-level jobs can stay in the village. We believe that an economically diverse community is vital to this community. And along those lines, we've identified a couple of village-owned properties to meet those goals. And it is really a mixed income type of housing, which I'm sure you'll go into a little bit. And this is really one of your first presentations to the public about what you've done so far. So we're looking forward to hear what you have to say. So welcome.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Carney from Carney Realty and Development Group. I thought it would be helpful just to give a brief recap of everything to date and how we got here. As the mayor mentioned, the village released a RFQ back in February of 2024. Carney Group.
Excuse me, I can't hear the mayor speaking for you. Do the microphones work?
Closer to the mic.
Can you move it closer to you?
I can't hear that.
Thank you for letting us know.
If you want to move up, you can take a chair and move it up.
Better?
And we have closed captions.
Okay, I couldn't hear either, so.
Can you hear me any better?
No, it needs to be much closer to you, too. A little over
Bring it
here.
around.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
I don't know, keep talking and I'll know.
Okay. So I'm Sean Carney of Carney Realty Group. The village issued an RFQ back in February of 2024, seeking to develop the Palisade and Cedar Street parking lot, as well as 2 vacant parcels on Cedar Street for the end use of an affordable housing or mixed income community. Carney Group responded and was ultimately selected by the village as the preferred developer. We've, since that time, been in our due diligence phase, and I'll give the board an update to that. I figured since there's a new member of the board, I could give a brief overview of Carney Group and what we do. So Carney Realty Group, we're a family-owned and operated development company. We're located in Somers, New York. We're a little over, just about 30 years old. We develop, we construct, and most importantly, we manage all of our own developments. We've to date developed over 700 million of commercial residential properties throughout primarily the Hudson Valley, but all of New York State. We currently manage over 2,000 residential apartments throughout the Hudson Valley. and we specialize in infill and mixed income communities. We were actually the first developer in New York State to utilize the middle income housing program, which is a great program created to bridge that gap between market rate housing and traditional affordable housing. So just a couple examples of some of the developments that we've done in the area. West End Lofts is in the city of Beacon. This is a combination of affordable, middle-income, artist, and market rate housing. It's right next to City Hall at the west end of Main Street. And the Hamlet at Carmel is a recently completed project in the town of Carmel, next to the Putnam Hospital Center. Again, mixed income. This serves households from 30%, 60%, 80%, all the way up to 90% of Putnam County's area median income. And then the Woods at Pauling in the town of Pauling, close to the village of Pauling, is again a mixed income community in an area of high performing school districts, serving households 30, 60, 80, up to 100% of Dutchess County's area median income. So when we responded to the RFQ, we first reviewed the village's goals, and then whenever we approach a new site, we develop our own goals for what we want as the outcome, and we let that kind of guide us throughout the development process. So some of the goals that we identified in responding to the RFQ was to create not just affordable housing, but diverse affordable housing opportunities. How do we reach that missing middle that's traditionally lost between market rate housing and affordable housing? How do we create a product that can attract workforce, but also retain existing workforce to live and work in the village of Dobbs Ferry? Can we incorporate ground floor commercial uses with neighborhood scale commercial end users? Can we increase foot traffic primarily on Cedar Street to help some of the surrounding businesses? How do we design the buildings to be within the correct historical content of the neighborhood? Can we create an innovative parking solution, especially on Palisade and Cedar Street parking lot? And how do we design a building and a project that's sustainable and incorporate community input throughout? So we look to create 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments servicing area median incomes. If I say AMIs, it's Westchester County's area median income of 30%, 60%, 90%, all the way up to 115%. And as you can see, that's a pretty wide range of incomes that's typically not provided in traditional affordable housing. As far as the design, we look to assimilate into the surrounding neighborhood while complementing it. We use the character guidelines of Palisade Street as kind of our guide. And for our facade design, we look to incorporate architectural cornice, full brick, and fiber cement siding. And we'll look to ways to increase the streetscape along Cedar Street.
Sean, if I can just say, can you please let people know, this is not the final design, right? This is just your initial swag, yes?
Concept.
Yeah, this was just a disclaimer. This in the previous slide, this was just in our RFQ response. These are architectural, more of artistic renderings based on concept plans.
Thanks.
And some of the high-level highlights for the development, we look to create at the Cedar Street Palisade parking lot a below-level parking deck at the elevation where the parking currently is, and then construct a building above it. We do an all-electric building. We'll explore options for renewable energy, especially geothermal and solar. We'll incorporate level 2 electric vehicle charging stations, as well as indoor bike storage. For community engagement, we envisioned a pretty comprehensive approach outside of the normal public process that's part of our local entitlements. We would do a combination of smaller stakeholder, closer to a one-on-one feedback meetings, as well as larger public meetings with more of the stakeholders. As far as the steps, the first step would be due diligence. This is title work, survey, refining those artistic renderings into actual drawings, as well as some geotechnical analysis and environmental analysis. Step 2 would be our community engagement and local entitlements. Once, based on the information from phase 1, our due diligence, we can start to solidify a development plan, roll it out to the public, get feedback, mold it from there. And then step 3 would be the construction phase. So to date, we are in the due diligence period. We've completed the title work, the boundary and topo survey work, the phase 1 environmental site assessment, and we're currently underway on the phase 2, which includes ground penetrating radar as well as borings for soil sampling. Geotechnical is underway too. That'll be done at the same time as the phase 2. And we're underway in the preliminary building and site design. So I thought it would be helpful to kind of lay out a development timetable, as the one in the RFQ is fairly outdated at this point. So we're currently in the due diligence period. The community engagement, local entitlement period would begin right after the due diligence period. And then we'd be looking to apply for funding. The way our funding works, it's one funding round per year. It's in the fall of each year. So the next available round would be next either September or October 2026. And depending if we are successful and we receive an award in the spring of 27, we would then look to close either spring or summer of 27. So that's just a brief update on overall how we got here and what's been done to date, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. I just want to ask about the parking, because it's currently a parking lot, the residents and anyone can use it now. What's your view and vision for that parking for the public, available to the public?
Sure. What we're hoping is there can be some value in the different uses. So we have commuter parking, or parking for downtown businesses, and then we have residential parking. And when we hone in on a unit count and a design there, we know how many parking spaces and units. We'll engage a traffic consultant to do not only a traffic study, but a parking study. And they'll look at the peak times depending on the use. So the commuters will have different peak times than the residential, and same with anyone using that parking lot for the Main Street businesses. And I don't know the perfect mix yet, but I think there's going to be some efficiencies that we can find based on the different peak demands. We do have similar properties where we have commercial on the first floor, restaurants and businesses, residential above, and there's a push for the commercial parking usually late Thursday, late Friday after 7, which works out for our residents because they're usually home by then, right? It's only friction if they go out somewhere and then they come back and parking's limited. So, but we do have a traffic consultant, Collier's Engineering, that will engage to look at this.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for the public, I think it would be really helpful. For the public, I think it would be really helpful. I know you mentioned the sort of community engagement piece. And I know that we have, these properties are really in a very dense part of Dobbs Ferry, and we're really, really excited about the opportunities that brings. But of course, there will also be questions and concerns about that. So, and I think we're all, we selected you to move forward with because we know that you are based in Westchester and you have an incredible track record of bringing in community input, making sure that all concerns are heard and addressed, even if, of course, no project ever can solve everyone's concerns, but making sure that folks are heard, that their concerns are adequately sort of responded to, and that also there are great ideas for how this can be an even greater amenity to the community, are incorporated into the plan when appropriate. And, I want to emphasize again, as you said, we don't even know how many units this is going to be. We don't even know how many residents, we're really in the preliminary stages, but of course, any additional building always raises questions. So can you tell us in kind of plain language more for the community also, because we have had the opportunity to have multiple conversations with you, like what will some of those community engagement opportunities look like? And if you wanted to share any, maybe anecdote or story of, where where you've had like some great, you mentioned the projects you've built and they all look fantastic and it's awesome that they're all, up and running now. But, I'm sure all of those involved some really robust conversations along the way. So just give people a sense of what that process will look like in a little more detail.
Sure. It's a great question, great point. I think here we're looking to do probably out of the gate one of the most robust community engagements that we have done. In the past, where there's any development that does have a lot of community engagement, it usually starts organically. There's an affordable housing task force, there's a group of individuals that want to start a conversation, and it goes from there and it kind of grows organically. Here, we're kind of defining the approach. So what we want to do is identify about a dozen community stakeholders. This may be elected officials, it could be business owners, it could be property owners, and have smaller, intimate meetings. Larger meetings are good, but some things could be lost when it's that large of a group. And we want to couple that with the larger meetings so we make sure we cast a wide net. Now, there's going to be a lot of public hearings throughout the process with local entitlements, but those get mixed up with other things on the agenda, and we want to make sure that all the facts are out there, all the questions are answered. For timing, it's a little too early to start that because honestly, we just don't have the answers yet. How many 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, how big, how tall the building, we don't have that information yet. So as the plans develop over the next couple months, I think that would be the good time to start that process so we can actually have answers and it's productive and we can take that feedback and help it shape our plans. I'm Irish, so I have plenty of stories, depends on how long you have. We're working on a project in the town of Rhinebeck. And we started that conversation, hopefully that's not a model, about 10 years ago. They had an affordable housing task force. And I went up there, I met them at the local library, and they were kicking around ideas. How do we do this? How do we get community buy-in? And it started organically from there. And then the town reached out to us probably, I was going to say a couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, and we re-engaged in that conversation. We met, they had a new task force, then we met with some local business owners. Some of the feedback we could incorporate, some we couldn't. On that site, it's kind of on the edge of the village, so there was a big push to make it connected and part of the village. It's in the town, but creating both walking trails, sidewalks, a bus shelter on site so the buses can pull in for the kids. And there was a heavy impact on, or input, I guess, which led to impact on the building design, the facade design, setback from the road. They made the whole site look like it was an extension of the village. So started 10 years ago, really ramped up 5 years ago. There was a lot of meetings outside the normal public hearing process, which I think is helpful to actually get some proper feedback and provide some answers.
Great. And I'll also just add that we're committed to being a part of, communicating about all the opportunities that will be available to residents and, business owners and others as this process goes forth and there's more to say. And also remind everyone that there is a page on the website already, dobbsferry.gov. You can go to a downtown affordable housing initiative, little button on the left, and you can see the answers to our frequently asked questions so far, which we will continue to update as we have more relevant information from you all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So with the timetable, I just want to have a better understanding of what comes next and what we see when. So the due diligence period is happening right now and is expected to end in November, after which the community engagement will begin. But at what point do we get, what's the next presentation that comes to the public, and what will that entail?
Presentation before this board for the public?
Or what's the next phase? What happens next? After due diligence, what happens next?
So it'll take us a while to kind of solidify our plans, make the application to the planning board, or figure out the zoning. I think as we look towards the end of the year, beginning of next year, we'll start in conjunction with this board, identifying some local stakeholders and maybe scheduling some of those larger public hearings, not public hearing, public meetings outside of a normal board. At any point in time, if this board wants an update, if you haven't heard from us for a month or two and you don't know what's going on and you want us to come back and give you an update, we're happy to do that. But I see by the end of this year, we're going to have a pretty good idea of what's feasible and what's not at all these sites. And then I think there'll be constructive time to have those conversations.
Okay.
And I just want to correct, the application will be to the village board. The village board has the jurisdiction for this property because it's in the downtown district. We'll refer it to the planning board, but you'll start with this board right here.
All right, thank you very much.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is 555 Broadway, Mercy University.
Mercy. Yeah.
Bring it up into the 18th century.
The Velcro.
Yeah. This is a work in progress.
Good evening. My name is Taryn Ramey from the law firm of McCullough, Goldberger, and Stout. With me tonight is Thomas Simmons, the Vice President for Facilities and Operations from Mercy University. And joining us via Zoom is George Hibbs, a principal at Clark, Caton, and Hintz. So we're here tonight on behalf of Mercy University in connection with its request for a site plan waiver for proposed improvements to Mercy Hall. These improvements are intended to enhance accessibility, safety, and circulation within Mercy Hall, as well as replacing aging infrastructure and incorporating fit and finish upgrades. In a nutshell, these improvements include an accessible sidewalk from the adjacent existing parking lot to a new vestibule entrance, a supplemental egress drive for loading and unloading to help alleviate congestion during busy periods, a stair and elevator addition providing direct access to the rotunda. For those of you who don't know, the rotunda is a central campus venue. There's currently no direct elevator access in that section of the building, so accessing the rotunda is very difficult for those with mobility impairments. In addition, the university proposes the removal of an existing interior staircase to improve internal circulation, as well as the reconfiguration of existing space to accommodate restrooms, office areas, and similar support spaces. And so the building inspector has reviewed this project and has found that a waiver is appropriate in this instance, largely because the improvements are primarily focused on accessibility and safety. So we therefore respectfully request this board approve the site plan waiver.
Thank you. Valerie, do you want to weigh in on this?
Dan's here too.
Oh, where's Dan? I didn't, there's Dan. Oh, have Dan weigh in on it. I didn't see Dan. Sorry.
Hiding.
Player to be named later.
We don't have,
See how quickly Valerie said Dan's here, too?
we don't have any issues. It's more for, like they said, the accessibility and bringing the building up to codes, because it's such an old building, getting the elevator and stuff in there. And it also helps with their loading. Their loading dock is in the back by the landing, and they run into a lot of problems with that now, so that'll alleviate some of that, I believe.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have a problem with waiving site plan approval?
No, but I do have a question, an issue to bring up, and I know I've brought this up multiple times before, but over the last several years, at multiple times, you guys have talked about putting in bus shelters on Route 9. That never has actually happened, and I would love to find out when that is going to happen, and if necessary, I would be prepared to withhold a vote on this, because to be frank, running out of patience with it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and it doesn't. So I would appreciate an update on your plans to finish those bus shelters.
Sure, I can address that. I'm Tom Simmons from Mercy University. So you mentioned that the last time we were here, I think Michael did. So the architect that was with us, Chris Tromatola that day, it's going to be part of the landscape project and the site work that's going to happen associated with the field house that's going in. He designed and put in a bus shelter. You might have seen the one internal on campus that was built this summer. We just built one.
I haven't been on campus.
Okay,
this
so
summer.
it was a little different than what we would need out on Route 9, according to the pictures I've shown you and pieces like that. So after our last meeting was here, I reminded him that needed to be part of the plans for the project that we have approved through Irvington that you looked at. So they would be part of that project that will start probably in January and run through the next year. There's a lot of different pieces to it. We're committed to that, and we're going to take care of that for you, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
And you actually issued a waiver for the,
parking part.
for the side, the Dobbs Ferry side, on the site plan elements that were necessary for that new field house on the Irvington side. So I'm assuming that bus shelter will be part of the project, overall project, to go forward with the.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
Okay,
So.
so based upon.
Again, the waiver means that Dan's office can review this.
Okay, so based upon the recommendation of the building department and the really de minimis type of outside changes this will be, they're like to move forward with this. So is there a motion to approve waiver of site plan review for exterior improvements to Mercy Hall, Mercy University at 555 Broadway? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rothrock. All in favor? That passes unanimously. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if, is there anybody here from 499 Main? 99 Main? Yeah, come on up.
And I sent out an email earlier that there's a revision in the request and the resolution, which has been made part of your packet. And Valerie stayed to discuss this too, if you have questions on the change from a site plan amendment to just the facade approvals.
So all we're talking about is the facade design. Design of the
Correct.
facade.
And since you stand in the shoes of the architectural design approval authority, you have the ability to just address an amendment to the design portion of this, because you stand in the shoes of the HRB on site plans that you have jurisdiction over. So I did prepare a revised resolution today that just addresses a change in the design approval.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Salton from Studio Rye Architectural Design, and I'm here to talk about the updates that we have made to the proposed facade of 99 Main Street. Our goal was not to change what was previously approved, the design that was originally proposed by Michael Lewis Architects, but to enhance the facade in regard to better reflect the historic character of Dobbs Ferry. Our revisions have kept the same bulk, scale, and overall character of the previously approved. It's still a mixed-use building, commercial on the first floor, along with 4 apartments above it. But we have added more detailing and materials to the building's facade. As you can see, starting from the grade, we added a granite base and cast stone blocks to better emphasize the main entrance and reflect the neighboring buildings. We then took the same sizes of these cast blocks and added a corbel brick detail above, along with some soldier coarse brick around the added rounded transoms on the 3rd floor. As you can also see, compared to the previous design, we reconfigured the windows to match the 1st floor and the surrounding buildings, going from 3 floors, going from 4 windows to 3, all lined with metal trim. We are also proposing a mansard standing seam metal roof on the top floor to give a little more charm from above. So as you can see, our updates are consistent with the original intent of the previously approved facade while improving the building's compatibility within the downtown business district. I hope you find the proposed design pleasing. Thank you. Any questions?
This is the same height as it was before?
Yes, it is.
No change at all to the building itself, just the facade.
The massings remain the same.
Do you,
just
can you go to,
architectural.
sorry, Dan, for the
Dan.
record, you have to.
Yeah, the massing and everything is the same, it's just the architecture on the outside. I think they made it look a lot better.
Looks great.
And I just want to be sure, since we're not usually in the position of site plan approvals, materials-wise and everything else, you have zero concerns. They all meet with the requirements that we have. Thank you very much.
Yes, and this has been previously approved by the building department.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Is the brick like real brick or is it a facade of?
It's real brick. The only part of the building that's going to be thin brick is where it turns in the corner. Forgot the name of the building, I think that's 101, but where it shares a property line. It's going to be thin brick above that, but everything else is going to be full brick.
Anything else?
Thank you for
And
putting.
real glass, windows are real glass?
Yeah, it'll be glass.
The question sometimes you need to ask. I didn't know.
Thank you for the presentation. So I think we're ready to move forward on this. So is there a motion to approve the amended facade-related design improvements at 99 Main Street as outlined to us? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Rothrock, all in favor? That passes unanimously. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next is a public hearing to address, and discuss amending the village code regarding parks, which really, and Laura, you could speak to this, is just to clarify and put into one place various laws and enforceable park rules. Is that correct?
Yes, it's a comprehensive clarification. So it sets forth the process by which you apply for a park use permit, and it also puts in the code that which was only on signs. There is one comment that came in writing, so when you open the hearing, you'll have to enter that.
Okay. So is there a motion to open tonight's public hearing? Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor? Public hearing is hereby open. It's open, and I guess, Laura Lee, can you just, and I won't put you on the spot necessarily, but as you were indicating, we putting it in one place where there had been signs saying that things were prohibited or allowed, but really were nothing, there wasn't anything to support it in the law. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so.
And we aren't eliminating dogs on leash.
Right.
Dogs on leash are permitted in all the parks. We moved that one provision and expanded it so everybody's clear that dogs on leash are allowed in all the parks.
Okay. And I don't know if you're able to speak to this, but is there any changes that have been made other than, any substantive changes that have been made?
No,
Okay,
just that which was only on signs
right,
have now been incorporated for park usage village-wide.
okay.
So this is effectively housekeeping in terms of making sure that our signs in our parks match what our code says.
Correct.
As far as prohibitions.
Because the provision about dogs on leash is already in the code village-wide.
That's why that was struck from.
That was why it was struck from that
Got it,
section.
okay.
And Rick, I don't
No
want to.
changes to the dog rules, correct?
No.
Zero, okay.
I'm a big dog lover. so-
Police Chief, Rick, could you come up just for a second? We're talking about the changes, I shouldn't say changes, the putting the clarification, thank you, Patty, on the park law. So what are your thoughts, what are your suggestions, and how do you feel about it?
As it relates to the waterfront park, we had noticed some discrepancies in the code as to some of the posted guidelines that are at the waterfront. So this was really important for us to enforce the guidelines that have been posted down there, so we have something we can hang our hat on. So it is very helpful for the police department to make sure that the two align, so I do appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any other comments or questions or concerns? Okay, anybody from the public have anything? Come on up.
Thank you. My name is Vicki Jones. I live at 55 Grandview Avenue, Dobbs Ferry, New York. Christy, thank you very much for responding, and Matt, you also for my questions about dog on leash. But you should be aware that there are signs posted in other parks that say no dogs, okay? So that only added more to the confusion on my behalf. So I appreciate you solving the waterfront park issue. But I had a couple questions about the proposal here. One thing that I have is it says picnics are permitted only in designated areas. Is there a map laying out what, where the designated areas for picnicking is allowed? Maybe I would suggest that a definition of picnics or picnics with more than 10 or 15 people or whatever the guidelines that the Recreation Department requires a permit, that should be incorporated in this new language. The other thing that I wanted to suggest also is that you have on here playing or practicing golf or golf-related at the park. That's a good thing. I'm not for that at all. But I would like to mention also that you're not allowed to play croquet down there. And maybe you should also point out, because we have buried water lines. I found this out myself when I went to play croquet. So if you stick something into the ground, you take a chance of piercing one of those water mains. So maybe you should incorporate croquet or whatever kind of games people use that you have to stick something in the ground.
There is something that says you're not supposed to put
Stick
any,
things in the
no,
ground.
there is something in the law that says you're not allowed to put tent poles or hit any kind of,
Anything in the
put
ground.
anything in the ground.
I don't think a croquet set is equal to a tent pole, but
It also, Mayor, does not actually specify putting something in the ground. It says no apparatus structure, tent stands, platforms may be erected without prior authorization, but it doesn't speak to,
staking a tent.
right, I mean, a tent you would presume has a stake, but other apparatus doesn't necessarily include everything that might pierce the ground, to your point, like a croquet set, which I don't think anybody would consider apparatus, structure, stand, or platform.
So you're suggesting that we be more specific in that, we amend this law to include that?
I mean, I think her suggestion is good because.
Right, I'm not saying that
yeah.
it's right, I'm just
So,
saying.
yeah, that would be I think, be my suggestion via Vicky.
Do you see a decent, an easy place to add that in there, Lori Lee,
Sure.
without having to not?
And the reason for that is because, as you know, this is reclaimed land, brownfields, and so there's a membrane underneath the soil, and it's a cap and a membrane, and we can't pierce the membrane, or we're in big trouble with the Department of Environmental Conservation. So I can certainly indicate that as an additional rule for Waterfront Park.
I was not aware of that reality, state of affairs, and it would be great if, when we have events that involve tents at the waterfront, of which there are many, like peddler tents, I'm not talking about camping tents, folks need to be made aware that they cannot stake those 10 by 10.
I think that DPW usually tells them.
They have to review, the tent has to be placement, location, that all is reviewed. You can't put a tent up without approval, so
No,
that's part of the approval. And we try not to erect tents with piercing poles on the area in question where the membrane
But
is.
there are like one-day tents that vendors, through invitations that we have made to them, pop up at events at the waterfront park, which involve sometimes, because it's windy down there, because it's the waterfront, staking into the ground. And I'm sure if DPW sees it, you all let them know, but, you know, I can just speak personally and say I was not personally aware of that. I just think maybe we should proactively communicate that to event organizers and others.
Sure.
I'm just saying that.
And those tents.
Because there's a lot of people in this room who talk to a lot of those folks.
Part of the tent approval process is to determine its location and where
things can.
Steve, is there anything you want to add to that?
That's
why.
What?
So the,
Okay.
It's
So-
the soccer field area.
But still, you have you have water lines that,
That's true.
I mean, it's a good point Jessica brought up.
Right, we have sprinkler system underground. We don't want anyone damaging the sprinkler system.
so it's fine if the rule is we can't, whatever it is, can't, if a local business owner puts a tent up and it's a little windy, that person might just make the decision to put a
That
stake in the
tent
ground.
would
So
need.
anytime you put an easy up,
permission,
you're
so.
going to stake the ground. So instead, we just have to have a rule that you use a sandbag instead of a.
Great, it just has to
Or
be
a rock,
communicated.
like I use when I go camping, big rock.
This has to be communicated.
Okay, thank you. You have anything else, Vicki?
Yeah, I'm going back to that picnics are permitted area. Is that only the area like by the kids area? You're not talking
Yeah.
at all by where the,
I think the intent was the picnic
areas.
tables, picnic areas, so maybe we can clarify that and have it word.
yeah, that would be great. That would be really good. But I do think you should put in here somewhere where it by definition says, if you have more than 20 people or 15 people, you have to do this. I mean, I know it's someplace else in the code,
Right.
but you can say refer to XYZ to, wherever that is in the code. I did not dig.
That would have been
Deep enough.
above and beyond.
Okay. But one other thing I would like to say about this.
There is an area in this document that does, it doesn't say permit, it says permission, but it speaks to the issuance of permits for parties of a certain size.
I think by putting the number, it makes it very clear to whoever's going for an
It's 12
application.
or more. It's in here as
Says
12 or
more than
more.
12.
Okay, and one other thing I'd like to say is that I know you're trying to clean it up and make it clarified, but I think that what you need to be able to do in here also is do the same as you have under the dog laws, that you have to have a tooth, you have to have some kind of bite to this law. There has to be penalties for offenses. That if people, what?
These are only the areas of the chapter that have actually been changed, but there is
Oh,
a provision.
I
for
understand that.
There is a existing provision for violations, and that's what we haven't been able to enforce because the rules haven't been in writing. So if you look at the entire chapter for parks, you'll see the areas we didn't touch, which include violations and penalties.
Oh, it does include violations? Okay, thank you. Before I go to sleep tonight, I can have a nice book to read. Thank you.
And it'll put you to sleep.
That'll knock you right out, so. Chapter 230, that's the key here.
Anybody else to speak to this particular issue? Yes, come on up.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jen Cadenhead. I live at 12 Belden Avenue, Dobbs. And I just want to say I came down here because I saw on Facebook someone say that dogs were not going to be allowed in the park under certain conditions. So I don't know what could be done. Maybe, I'd like to read the code myself, but I just want to make sure that the rules are actually so that dogs can be leashed, and it seems like you're assuring this. But I will say that the person from Mercy University who came here, I noticed he said one covered bus thing, and you were saying two. So the devil is in the details. So I hope, it all is all good. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You have nothing to be worried about with the dogs. It is fine. Yes.
Anybody else for this issue?
In fact, we had dogs in the pool recently, so.
Yes.
Okay, so is there a motion to close tonight's public hearing? Wait, we have to make some changes then, evidently. So should I close this public hearing, and then you're going to come back with the changes?
No, I can insert a cautionary provision at Waterfront Park that the reason that we cannot penetrate the land in the north end side is because of this issue with the.
Okay, and could you
No,
also
but it's
clarify the
also-
picnic area too, like, instead of just saying picnics, where the picnic table is, the picnic area?
Picnics are permitted only in areas with picnic tables.
And Lori Lee, you can't, we don't want people penetrating the ground on the whole of it because they might hit a sprinkler line, not because of the brown field. So
Is that a concern of DPW?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. But I just want to go back to this picnic situation. So
Picnic tables.
Picnic tables, right. I mean, I could have a picnic without having a picnic table, and that's perfectly allowed.
Yes,
On a blanket,
Right,
on a blanket.
without a
Grill.
stake into the ground.
Right.
So picnics aren't actually
That's
limited to
prohibited.
designated areas if you can put down a blanket and have a picnic in an area that doesn't have a picnic table. So
Right.
Right, well,
maybe that whole thing
The
should just go.
concerts,
Right.
right, every Wednesday night, people are having picnics.
What does that mean, that picnic, right?
It's just something that was on the sign, and the rec superintendent asked me to include everything, but we can delete it, because I was confused myself.
Why don't
Yeah.
you delete it, and we can delete it from the sign, too?
I think we should. Picnics are permitted only in designated areas. I mean, that's too general, really.
Okay, we'll remove G,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, and we can indicate in I, that was the section about the apparatuses and the tents, and then we'll, in I, we can explain that the north end, absolutely no, any subterranean,
No subterranean
In the whole park.
in the whole park.
Not
The
just
whole
the
park.
north end.
okay?
The whole
We
park.
can,
Whole park.
we
And
can
that,
replace G with that language.
Great.
Okay.
But I just go back to one of the questions that Ms. Jones also brought up about, is there a number of people where
That's in
if
there.
you
It's
have
in
more
here.
than, okay.
It's
so
it's
in
12.
It says 12.
there. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So I'll,
I make a motion
I'll
to close the
delete
public
current G, and in G, in its place, we'll put a
Make-
prohibition against
Steaks,
is,
stakes and penetrations of the ground.
chicken, no steaks.
all right, so is there a motion to close the public hearing? Trustee Nell.
Oh, yeah.
Second, trustee Rosenberg. All in favor? Public hearing is now closed, so you're going to,
There was no one online, right? Did we ask that?
No one online?
okay.
I'd like to make an emotion, reach out.
So we're going to enact this law today, right? You're saying that we can?
Yes.
Okay. So
As
is there a motion to adopt the amendment to the Village of Dobbs-Ferry Code, Chapter 230 Parks, to clarify and provide for enforceable park rules?
As revised. As revised.
As revised. Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
And I'll get the revised local law to our clerk so we can get this filed.
Thank you.
Next public hearing is a public hearing to allow the public comment on Ashford Avenue pedestrian infrastructure improvement and the downtown sidewalk rehabilitation project. So before we go any further, is there a motion to open this public hearing? Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Rothrock, all in favor? This meeting is hereby, public hearing is hereby open. Rob, do you want to give us some background on this?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This public hearing in front of you is regarding a Complete Streets grant application from one of our grant writers, Fiona Matthew. As part of the grant application, it requires a public hearing, which is today. The deadline for this actual application, and I can describe the two projects we're putting in, the deadline is coming up on the 19th. She's away on vacation, so she asked us to put this forth on the board so we can actually include it as part of the requirements of the application. This public hearing basically allows the public comment on the two projects, one being the Ashford Avenue pedestrian infrastructure improvements, and also the downtown sidewalk rehabilitation projects for the Complete Streets grant that I mentioned. If you want, I can get into more detail of what those projects are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to discuss some changes to this.
Right, I know,
Right.
Christie has some more.
Yeah, we have some, there's some discussion about the actual, how this dovetails with the New York Forward grant, because it's in the same area, the same limits of the projects. So basically, the two projects that we're putting for the Complete Streets as part of this public hearing, the downtown Complete Street project basically will upgrade the sidewalks and streetscape infrastructure along Cedar Street from Broadway to Main Street, and then also Main Street from Chestnut Street to Walnut Street, creating a cohesive, accessible, and pedestrian-friendly downtown corridor. And the other second project is the Ashford Avenue Continuous Sidewalks Project, still under the Complete Streets grant. That'll install ADA-compliant curb ramps, crosswalks, and related improvements at 12 intersections along Ashford Avenue between Bellwood Avenue and Southfield Avenue, which is pretty much the whole length of Ashford. And it also includes enhancing safety and multimodal access.
Okay, Christie, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yes, so to give everybody a little bit more clarity, with the New York Forward project, one of the projects that we're putting forward is the sidewalk and streetscape updates to Cedar and Lower Main. This other grant is a possibility to help match that funding because it's like a $4 million project. So we have an estimate from the New York Forward process, and through this process, we got a separate estimate from our engineers for the same work along Cedar and Lower Main. Theirs went into way more detail because they're the engineers and it wasn't just these consultants doing it. And so the estimate is higher. So what we have to decide tonight, right, Valerie, is whether or not we're comfortable with the higher number that they're then committing to for these two grants in hopes that we get both of them. And the difference in the amount was due to including redoing the sidewalks on Cedar. Jess, this is good. So sidewalks on Cedar.
Trying to get up to speed on what we're talking about.
Yeah, the scope on Cedar for the New York Forward project was not a complete replacement. It included, because they're not in as bad shape as originally assumed, it included more cosmetic and changes that were not 100% of the linear feet of both sides of the street on Cedar. Unbeknownst, Fiona had asked Anthony, and Anthony's scope includes 100% of the linear feet replacement. So Valerie had, in her review for tonight's meeting, discovered the discrepancy in the scope. So if we're going to make this grant application, the estimate on the grant application does not match the streetscape estimate on the New York Forward. So there's a risk that you won't get 100% of the money to cover. This was part of the match.
But we can go back to New York Forward and
Yes.
change our estimates still because we're still in the process of.
You just said the projects aren't.
Yeah, so
Not
let me
apples to
explain a
Let
little bit
Valerie-
more.
let Valerie
Yeah,
finish.
let me explain a little bit more. So we have spent the day coordinating the two scopes and the cost estimates, right? So we had a call with Anthony Oliveri from AI Engineers. Oh, I'm Valerie Menastra and Nelson. Sorry, I always forget to do that. So we worked together. We had them look at the scope. We also sent the scope from the New York State Department of State, VHB consultants. So right now, the cost estimates that we're presenting to you includes similar scopes for both projects. That ultimately ends up increasing the cost overall $700,000. There was a couple of things in terms of yes, it was the streetscape, it was the actual sidewalk replacements, but I think also Anthony didn't have certain paving in his cost scope. And then also with lighting, there was no additional lighting. So now both scopes are exactly the same. And so as a result of that, you have an additional $700,000. That being said, we spoke with VHB, and the state as well. The state is also aware of this, that they're saying you could potentially increase your New York Forward ask to 1.8 million, where you were originally asking 1.6 million. So therefore, the ultimate additional costs to the village would be $500,000.
That's assuming you get both grants.
That's assuming you get both grants.
At 100% of the ask.
Right. If you don't get both grants, then theoretically your full project cost is $4.4 million minus the 1.8 million from New York Forward, and then the village would have to match the 2.6 million.
The 1.6 from, right, or
2.6.
I'm confused.
So are we.
Say it one more time, Val,
So your total project costs now are $4.4 million,
which includes what?
which includes the Cedar and Main Street. And it also includes new sidewalks for both, lighting for both, trees, and tree wells, right? Basically, new conduits, so it includes it includes the full scope.
And furnishings.
And furnishings.
And that's 4.6.
It's $4.4 million,
Okay.
right?
It was 3.7.
It was 3.7. Okay, and we asked for 1.6 from New York Forward.
Right.
And we asked for 1.6 from the state
So
for.
we'd be asking for half from the state.
Right, you'll be asking for half for the state now, so instead of 4.4, you'll be asking you mean from Westchester County?
I was asking from New York Forward.
Yeah, so for New York Forward, you're going to be asking for 1.8 instead of 1.6 now.
1.8 instead of 1.6.
That's correct.
Can we just go back? Because I'm
Sure.
just confused as to, like, I understand if there was cost discrepancies, if the scopes were different. But you're saying that when you went through it, like line by line, to match it all up, it was $700,000 more, so now we have to use that number? That's what I don't understand.
Right, so
Because of the two different grants that we're applying for, we have to make them the same number that we're.
Then why do we have to go with the proposal that's $700,000?
Because it's not a proposal, it's an estimate.
Okay.
And when VHB, the consultants, when they estimated it, on Cedar Street, they thought, okay, the sidewalk's okay, we're
Mhm.
not gonna replace the whole thing.
Right.
We'll just do patchwork wherever we have to.
Okay.
And AI engineering is like, do you want that? If you're gonna do the whole sidewalks, the streets over, you wanna have patchwork? No, you wanna have the whole sidewalk done again. And so their statement was, the whole sidewalk should be changed, and that's $700,000 more.
And does this also, Christie, have to do with if we want to put conduit under, we have to rip up all of the sidewalks so that we can put
We
under
still have to
the?
rip up part of it, it's not
Right.
the whole thing. And
Right.
so that's why it would be piecemeal. If, like, in the way that VHB was trying to save money and bring the estimate down, they said, we're not gonna do that whole sidewalk, we're just gonna do the pieces where we were burying the conduit and doing the lighting conduit too. So.
Yeah, that feels like
either
not
right
what we
now-
asked for an estimate for.
I know.
Okay.
So.
This,
I think
what
we
I would say to
intended to
Sherry,
have a complete
what I would
sidewalk.
say to Sherry is this now reflects our intention with regards to the project that we intended to put forward to New York Forward. This is not an increase over a baseline estimate. This reflects the actual estimate we should have gotten the first time. Sounds like.
To do.
To
the
do
whole
the work that
thing
we want
and,
to do.
So you're saying that the sidewalks on Cedar need to be fully redone?
If we're doing the streetscape project, and if we're going to put conduit underground with the effort of trying to get some of the wires under
Right.
there, and potentially have street lighting eventually, and putting in new trees, the trees also, when you put in a new tree, it disrupts the sidewalk too. So if you're doing all of those things, which would be the intent of the project,
Right,
yes.
so then it's better to just start with a clean slate and just do it all, that's what you're saying.
Valerie?
Wait, sorry, Laura Lee was saying that what I said wasn't accurate. Can you clarify
If-
what was
if-
incorrect about it?
If you don't get the New York Forward ask for the streetscape, and there's no guarantee, then you'll have how much is this ask under Complete Streets?
For the complete streets, you're asking 2.2 million from the 4.4 million.
From the 4.4 million. Okay, and the county's total available grant funding is about 5 million?
15 million.
15 million. Okay, so the scope was refined for Cedar specifically because the streetscape originally came in so high. So
For New
this
York
is more
Forward.
reflective of that original
That's correct.
streetscape?
That's correct. So
Okay,
originally, right, so originally,
I
the
understand.
originally, the full project was scoped. Then as part of the discussions with the VHB, there was a reduction in the scope to try to save money so you could put it towards different projects.
I have another question.
Okay,
Sure.
So we already have the
I
New York
stand
Forward grant, right? We don't know that they're, what they're gonna exactly fund, but
That's
that's
correct.
money we have. We don't have this other grant we're applying for, right? So one, we don't know we're gonna get it. And how does the time frame for that grant line up with New York Forward?
That all apparently is fine, right?
Yeah, they are
Those
similar in
details.
timeframes.
Okay, but we still have no guarantee, like how competitive is the process for the county grant?
I think it's going to be pretty competitive.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who travels the county, I don't
I
know
mean, that
any
one we
single
would
village
hope.
that doesn't need new streets. So.
Right, that's, I feel like the hope, I feel like the New York Forward is probably the one that is more likely. And
Right.
so we're applying for this in hopes that it can help match.
So applying for this one and rescoping the project has no negative impact on the New York Forward if we don't get it?
Either way, I think the New York Forward is just an incorrect estimate, and it needs to go higher if we're intending to replace all of the sidewalks at Cedar.
That seems right, but also the Ashford,
Yeah, is Ashford a separate project? Like, could you get the Ashford ask and not the Cedar ask? Or
They're
is it
separate
one
asks.
or?
Yeah, the two,
They're two different ones.
different
Ashford's
grants.
probably also a stronger application for the county.
but also to clarify, if we got Ashford,
Ashford is
Not-
$181,602, correct?
one
So
180.
Ashford consists of what exactly? From
Yeah.
where to where?
The
Curb
entire
ramps.
length of Ashford.
Okay, so to the bridge?
Yes, but it's at the intersection, so
But
it's,
it's curb
where
cuts,
where there are no crosswalks, it's putting in crosswalks. Where there are no ADA compliant curb ramps, there will be ADA compliant curb ramps.
So it's not
The
new
one
sidewalks.
thing that I'm not clear about is one of the asks in the memo that I sent to you, Rob, was was at the intersection of Ashford and Washington, to signalize the two legs of that intersection that are not currently signalized. And I'm not clear whether that is in this grant request or whether it's not.
I think the engineers at Nelson Pope were looking at that intersection. It wasn't a true 90-degree. It's kind of an awkward geometric. So they would have to really take a closer look at that if indeed we got
So that is
grants.
something that we'll have to do on our own outside of this grant if
Right, it
and
needs
when
engineering.
Nelson Pope
Right,
blesses it.
correct.
Okay.
Is there anything we should do to include that in this application so that even if,
When Fiona gets back from vacation Monday, the things do a week when she gets back, I can see if that's included, whether it'll help or hurt the chances of that grant.
I would be happy to participate in a conversation about that, just so I can, understand it and report back.
The only thing with that is that there is a resolution that is required as part of the grant. That's why we're having this discussion now, that you need to authorize a certain amount of funding, right? So that's where I just wanted to, that would potentially cause a problem. I'll
Right,
defer
okay,
to
so-
Lori Lee how that can.
So then this just
But-
is what it is then, right? Like, we can't make changes in it later. It is what it is because we've got to approve it tonight, or else we miss the deadline.
Or we would again.
You hold a special meeting.
Or we
Right,
hold a
it'll-
special meeting.
right.
If you want to
Or-
hold a special meeting, then we'll hold a
I
special.
would,
Or we can add a,
let's
we
approve
can
it,
increase the-
and then we
Yes.
should still get the information, and if our grant application would benefit from
There you go.
adding it, we can add a special meeting at that.
Well, I mean, the other option, I'm just kind of coming up with ideas, but maybe there's a way to revise the resolution to says a grant submission for a total of not to exceed a certain amount,
I was going
right?
to say, add a contingency for the engineering, so we'll go from 180 to 200 kind of thing.
yeah, but we don't know what it is. We don't know whether Nelson Pope will bless it. And I think it's better probably to take that on as an expense of our own after we get the traffic study back from Nelson Pope that we're not going to probably get back before the deadline for this anyway. So let's not complicate the matter. Like, thank you for the answer to your question, to my question.
All right.
Do I have a copy of that resolution? I don't have
If you, here, I'll send you.
It has blanks, that's,
Right.
Should be in the package.
What's
it's
the
in the
dollar?
packet, it just has blanks because
my packet.
we weren't sure,
I could just.
because the scopes didn't match up and the prices didn't match up. I don't think that Fiona was
You don't want this?
provided with the estimate that was already available.
So what money are we putting in there?
So I did some calculations before this meeting, hopefully this will help. But I believe the Cedar and Main Street is now $4,489,961.
Go slow, say it again.
$489,961. Then the Ashford is still staying at its original $181,602. And then that total is $4,671,563.
I'm sorry, I have one other question.
Sure.
Can you tell that number one more
Yeah,
time?
those-
$4,671,500.
$63
and it's
for
50
total project costs.
Right, and then it's 50% match.
Right, and the 50% match is, I have is $2,335,781.50.
Okay, so my question, Rob, is in the ask, we had some estimated costs for these things that came from a conversation a few years ago with the DPW that was sort of, a ballpark. And we'd asked for this to be estimated professionally. Is this based on the estimates in my memo, or has this been estimated at a greater level of detail?
Greater level of detail.
Thank you, perfect.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anybody from the public want to speak to this? Okay.
Anybody on the public
Yes.
following
Oh,
along?
Come on up.
Anybody repeat that?
Someone's following it.
Daniel Burgers, 52 Lausanne Road. I think it's great to do the improvements at Ashford Avenue. When I walk there, some areas are pretty bad shape, and I understand that, it's only the certain areas, but, hedges are overgrown on the sidewalk. The actual sidewalk is, not very accessible for wheelchairs or, other wheels. So it's great that you guys putting in the application for the grant for Ashford Avenue. Thank you.
I just want to clarify that the sidewalks aren't really part of this. It's, okay, all right, but thank you.
I just want to, I'm sorry, I know this is but the Ashford Avenue cost that I gave you was the 50% cost, so it's a total of $363,204. So once you're done with public comments, I'll give you the final numbers.
You'll give the numbers. I'm just,
Yes.
right, okay. As I'm going through this, I will turn to you.
Hi, Rob Aaron, Chair of the Traffic Committee, 10 Cricket Lane. I just want to say thank you very much for, it was our proposal for Ashford Avenue. I know the Downtown Committee worked on the Cedar Street one. I just want to say thank you to the members of the Traffic Committee who spent a lot of time on this over the last, I think we put our first proposal in for this in 2007. But the last 2 years, our committee has really worked very hard on it, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Good evening. My name is Roya from 27 Main Street. I just want to say thank you for making a consideration for putting this application for the second half of the Main Street between Chestnut and Walnut, because it is in a really pretty bad shape. And they have shaved the sidewalk, they have done a lot of things, but it is not really in a public interest and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. We recognize that, so thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so is there a motion to close the public hearing? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor. Public hearing is now closed, and we're ready to take action on it. Valerie, if you step up to the microphone.
With your calculator.
Don't get comfortable in that chair.
So I'm going to just,
New batteries?
look, I'm just going to do it, and you fill it in. So is there a motion to approve the submission of the Westchester County Employee Streets Grant application, whereas the total requested funding from Westchester County under the Complete Streets Municipal Assistance Program is?
It'll be $2,426,582.50.
Which includes?
Okay, and that's, which includes the 181,602 for Ashford, and, hold on, I have to just do one quick. Sorry, I have to divide the Cedar by
Better
two.
you than me.
She's got two phones, one of which she uses exclusively as a calculator.
So $2,244,980.50 for the Cedar and Main Street.
Okay. Whereas the village has committed a total local match of?
Two million,
Same number.
yeah, $2,426,582.50.
Lot of math.
You got that all?
We can fill this all in tomorrow. I can send it to you.
Which represents 50% of the combined project cost.
Of $4,853,165.
To be financed through the village's capital fund and supported by the issuance of a municipal bond. Okay, so is there a
Right.
motion as outlined this before? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously, so thank you very
Hopefully
much.
we get both grants.
Hopefully we will
New York
get the
Board
grants.
and this.
I just want to note that, yeah, I understand the mayor's confusion about names sometimes because we now have 3 trustees that begin RO.
Thanks for putting that in my head, so now.
I think trustee Rothrock's fallen asleep, so you better call on her next.
You have 4, me, you.
Oh, that's right, 4 you. Well, you're not a trustee, Mayor.
I won't be calling on myself, right? Okay, let's go to courtesy of the floor. Who wants to speak? Come on up. Wait. I had called,
They're just kind of a line, I think.
yeah.
Oh, we're done, just do.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Yeah, she's sure, okay, so, yes, okay, all right.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Belts and suspenders.
Yep,
You got it covered.
thank you so much.
Bob Radomski, Ogden Avenue. I have 2 small issues, but before I start, I've been to a lot of meetings, and usually you set the tone in the beginning, it carries over. I hope it doesn't. This is a valuable asset over here we have. We have to take care of them. If it was me, I'd sit with these people after the meeting and go over a couple of issues with them, see what happens. Now, my little issues. I'm not going to be here for your leaf blower thing, so I have a couple of statements on that. To ban all leaf-powered blowers does nothing to solve the problem made by paid contractors. Electric backpack blowers make the same amount of mess and dust to adjoining properties and streets. Paid contractors caused this problem, not tax-paying residents using handheld gas blowers. Also, will large areas of our village like Ardsley Country Club, Masters School, Mercy College, or schools or villages be allowed to use backpack gas blowers? If they are, why? They're still part of the village. Fix the problem. Make permits required for contractors doing yard work in the village. Make removing yard waste by blowing into streets and adjoining properties a violation. Tickets issued on the spot. After the second violation, fines double. After the third violation, permits revoked for the remainder of the year. And limit the number of backpack blowers to lots less than a quarter acre, which is 100 by 100 feet. That's what I have to say about gas or electric. Now, my second issue, I have a question on the deer management service agreement. Is this a cull or only a study?
It's a call.
It's a cull. If a cull, how many sections of the village will be included?
Just the during estate.
Okay. Hunting regular season is from October 1 to December 31. Normal nuisance permits start from January 1 to September, the first week of September. What permits will be issued? I know you can't answer that. What type of weapon will be used? And how do we get around our local ordinance of no discharge of a weapon within village limits?
It would be bow.
Excuse me?
Bow.
Bow and arrow.
Bow hunt.
Now, they just legalized crossbow within the last week for Westchester. But there are limits. I know every one of them. Normal nuisance permits are from 1/2 hour before sunrise to 11 PM with lights. I do know a little bit about deer management permits, having had one and used one every year from 1992 to 2019, and I did a very good job. I suggest before we sign any agreement, we determine what effect any cull in one small section of the village will be on backyard deer in residential areas. More than likely, none. Irvington didn't accomplish nothing. I've got friends that'll tell you that they still have 5 or 6 deer on their front lawn because it's in residential area, and you can't do anything unless you took drastic actions. We're removing deer from the woods where they belong and allowing them to stay in populated areas where all the damage is done. Doesn't make sense. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Again, they're a valuable asset.
No doubt. Before you guys come up, I just want to say again, we appreciate everything that you guys have done, and I just feel like now I have to set the record straight a little bit. So let me just, and, you know, the village attorney could offer her advice as well. When COVID happened, we, the village, were able to finance the volunteer ambulance corps to the tune of $10,000 a month. We were able to do that under the justification that it was an emergency situation, and we continued to pay the $10,000 a month. We even bought a computer, at least one computer laptop and some computer programs, because frankly, the record keeping was non-existent. We kept on paying until we were advised by our attorney who's done research. We've met with lawyers from NICOM and other institutions who have advised us that it is illegal and improper for the village to pay and support the volunteer ambulance corps. We,
As it's set up right now.
What?
As it's set up right now.
and we have, despite that, we have agreed to pay and fund the volunteer ambulance corps. And part of that, frankly, was to either have the ambulance corps support themselves and get volunteers, and not only volunteers, but also to get contributions and support themselves. And if failing that, then to merge with other local communities to form a Rivertown's volunteer ambulance corps. We, specifically Trustee Patino, Trustee Nell, have met on a regular basis, spent hours meeting with the representatives from Volunteer Ambulance Corps, as well as representative from NICOM, as well as the representatives from the Irvington Ambulance Corps. So we have been involved, we have been negotiating, and we have been supporting the ambulance corps. No one is saying the ambulance corps does not play an important role in this community. You play a very important role in this community, just like the volunteer firefighters play an important role in this community. And I just also want to say that when you say we don't support, the building is village-owned, don't charge any rent. The gas, the maintenance of it, we've been taking care of as well. So we have been supporting the volunteer ambulance corps to the limit that we are permitted by law. And we will continue to support it as long as we see movement made towards a merger. Because frankly, regionalization of all the emergency services is what's necessary. And we would be short-sighted in our responsibility as fiduciary and legally to say, we're just going to keep turning a blind eye, paying $10,000 a month to an organization that hasn't provided us with records on a regular basis. So, like the volunteer firefighters, we support all our volunteers. And we want to make this work, but again, you would be hard-pressed to find anyone in any community in the river towns who would say that all of these organizations can exist on their own. Volunteerism is shrinking. People don't want to volunteer and do this type of job any longer. 99% of the volunteer ambulance corps are paid people in the ambulance corps, and we would love to have it continue on self-sufficient, but that's not the way it is. And we have been elected to make sure that not only are the calls answered, but there's a future for the ambulance corps. And in our vision and in the vision of the experts, regionalization, and the first step in that would be Irvington. Who knows? Hastings, Ardsley, Dobbs Ferry, Tarrytown, hopefully we'll all get together. It would not mean 1 minute more added to a call, and we would make sure that all our calls are adequately responded to. So having said that, you guys are up. And this is not a personal thing, because I'm sure you're not making it a personal thing. So
No.
happy to hear
So, my name is Dr. Mansiba, right? First of all, good evening, member of the Trustees Board of Village of Dobbs Ferry. Just one question. I want you to look at each other. Which one of you will volunteer at this ambulance corps?
Don't you think we
already
volunteer enough?
volunteering.
We
No,
spend-
I'm just saying, you
we
said
spend-
look for more volunteers.
We
You know,
spend 20
I want
hours.
to know, it's very hard, the cost of living. I live in the Bronx, Riverdale, and I come to this village, leave my family behind to do 12, 36, 48 hours on one shift to take care of the residents of Dobbs Ferry. Now, my name is Darlene Mancebo, and I'm proud to serve as an employee of the Dobbs Ferry Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I am pleased to say that I have been a certified New York State Department of Health for the past 7.5 years, serving both New York City and Westchester County EMS. But I want to thank Mr. Swapnil Panya and Mr. Eddie Factoroni and the board of Dobbs Ferry VAC for allowing me to serve the village for the past 3.5 years as an EMT. I was given this opportunity to serve this community in which allowed me to provide emergency care with dignity and compassion in the highest level of my professionalism and the scope of my practice. This community in which I honor, and I honor. Again, when I leave my house and I leave my family behind, I honor to come to work for the village of Dobbs Ferry to help ever get called for. Now, also I wanted you guys to know, do you guys know about the mutual aid program?
Yes.
Okay, mutual aid, if you guys don't know, is about organization when they don't have a crew or they don't have staff members, our neighboring organization will come out. Now, we was first due in the list for Irvington VAC, in which you guys wants to merge with. Guess what? We're not first in line. Now, that call responded where we respond 3.5 minutes. How long is that call gonna now last? 6 to 8 more minutes, in which it increased to 11 minutes. So that person, that resident, in their worst moment is gonna receive care. 11 minutes. So that means, yes, I wanna thank the police department and their guys. When they get called, they there and they render CPR. You know, if they in respiratory distress, they put them on a nasal cannula or give them a BBM, a number breather, right, at a flow rate of 15 liters per minute, right? But guess what? When we not there and when we don't have a crew, his members are just there and the patient is saying, where is the ambulance? Guess what? They don't have money to pay us. That's why we don't have a crew there, right? So that patient is just sitting on the worst moment, help. You could see it on their eyes. You could see when someone is really sick. Again, I want to thank you for your time. Just take in consideration that merging with another organization and leaving Dobbs Ferry Ambulance Corps with a 3.5 minutes response to an 11 minutes response is crucial. Thank you for your time, board.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brianna Costa, and I'm proud to serve as an EMT with Dobbs Ferry VAC. I'm here tonight not only as an employee, but as someone who deeply cares about the health and safety of this community. Right now, there is discussion about merging our service with Irvington VAC and shifting funding away from Dobbs Ferry's own ambulance corps. I ask you to carefully consider what this would mean for the people who live, work, and raise families here. Dobbs Ferry EMS is your town's ambulance. We're based here, we respond here, and we know this community inside and out. Eliminating our service means that when a medical emergency happens in Dobbs Ferry, help will have to come from outside of town. As Darling just spoke about, that extra distance could add crucial minutes to response times, minutes that can mean the difference between life and death. Our crews are here every day and every night. For the past several months, we've had our ambulance fully staffed, and we've proudly increased the number of staff at our agency with the combined efforts of our bosses, Swap and Eddie, and as well as our coworkers, Norbert and Darling, who work incredibly hard every day with the best interests of DFAC in mind. We take pride in showing up, in being dependable, and in providing the highest quality emergency care for our residents. When we say we're here, we mean it. We have put in the hours, the sweat, and the sacrifices. We cannot say the same for outside agencies whose priority is not Dobbs Ferry. Merging us out of existence is not just about logistics. It's about identity. It's about whether Dobbs Ferry will continue to have its own dedicated ambulance or whether we'll ask our residents to rely on someone else's. You're asking this community to give up its own safety net and to trust that someone else will care about Dobbs Ferry the way that we do. They won't. So I respectfully ask, if funding is available to support another agency, why not invest those resources in strengthening Dobbs Ferry EMS, the service that already serves this community every day? Supporting us directly would preserve local identity, improve response times, and ensure that Dobbs Ferry has a dedicated ambulance it deserves. We are not asking for special treatment. We're simply asking for the chance to continue serving the community we love with the resources we need to do it well. The people of Dobbs Ferry deserve to know that when they dial 911, their own EMS service is ready to answer the call. Thank you for your time, and I truly hope you'll keep the needs and safety of this community at the center of your decisions.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate again, we are not permitted by law to support and pay the volunteer ambulance corps as it's presently constituted. But go ahead.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Norbert. I've been here for
I'm sorry, could you say your name again?
Norbert, N-O-R-B-E-R-T. I've been here in Dobbs Ferry for the past 11 years. Holidays, Thanksgivings with the people that's sitting right there. It was said in here that we are merging with Irvington. My question is, any other towns were considered for merge or just Irvington?
You speak, then we don't have to, I don't have to respond to you, but I will tell you that we've met with other communities as a merger.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. But not a long time ago, I was standing right in here for 2 saving awards, life-saving awards, and I think, you know, that if we sit down and get this maybe roll out a little bit more, we can do something that the people of Dobbs Ferry should be aware of that as well, because not a lot of them are aware of what's going on. So
maybe you guys can knock on doors and get money contributions. Maybe you could do something with
we've
social
done that.
media. Maybe you
Actually,
could do other things to get
we
contributions.
We did.
Okay.
We did post flyers all over the place for donations and all that. We've been talking to our patients. We opened the door. We're talking to people in front of the ambulance as well. So we are trying.
Okay.
And like I said, after 11 years, I do not want to go home. I spent here plenty of Thanksgivings, Christmas, snowstorms, you name it. I was here for a lot of it.
Thank you. And we appreciate it.
And again, I do not want to go home. Okay. And I hope this message will get somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to chime in real fast. On the idea of the merger, the concept is having these discussions with Irvington to see if it can work. It is not us forcing a merger to happen if it is a bad idea. The concept is for Dobbs and Irvington to be talking together to see if it makes sense financially, if there's a benefit to consolidating the two so that there's only one operating facility, so that there's only one thing that has to cut checks, so that there's only one person or somebody who could potentially help both of them, both villages, benefit from sharing resources. It's just a constant thing that everybody's trying because our tax dollars are so high. They're very high. So no one's forcing a merger. We have asked if this could be a discussion between the two villages, not having everybody come to us individually and telling us this, which is, I mean, I will listen all day long to all of this because I appreciate everything everyone's doing. We are doing our part as trying to be responsible for everybody's money and asking for this to happen. That's all. That is all that we're asking. And so all of this time that we're spending right now, ideally would be discussing with fellow EMS people in Irvington to see if this could work.
Right.
That's all we're asking.
Well, I think.
That's all I'm asking personally.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I'm asking for more, because I'm telling you that legally, we cannot continue to pay this money.
Right.
So we can't do it.
And also,
Oh, wait, let me just, Laura Lee, can you just say the law why we can't?
Yes, if I may. Unlike the fire department, which is a department of the village, the volunteer ambulance corps is a separate legal entity. It is against the New York State Constitution, Article 4, prohibition against gifts, for you to support or provide stipends to this independent entity. And people have been talking about merger tonight, but however, the idea is to create a new volunteer ambulance corps, Rivertown's Volunteer Ambulance Corps, which could have 1, 2, 3, 4 volunteer ambulance corps participating in, and then the village can't support that financially, but it will provide a sustainable way for the volunteer ambulance corps, who will become members of this new entity, a sustainable way for them to join forces, join staffing. Nobody's saying you can't work for the Rivertown's Volunteer Ambulance Corps. We sat down on July 7th with an expert who provided 3 scenarios by which this all could be accomplished in 6 months. Now, it's September, and we had asked for this report to understand how far along they were with choosing one of the 3 options to create this new entity. I don't believe the attorney has actually been retained at this point, but he's the expert. He does that for a living, creates these entities. It's transferring certificates. There's Department of Health verifications. The fact of the matter is, you cannot, without the condition of an emergency medical situation like we had with the pandemic, or in this case, it was a short-term option for them to move forward to create this entity and to move forward from there. So the purpose of the statement tonight was to get an update on which of the 3 options they chose and how far along in the processes, which were detailed, pages and pages of all the steps to be taken, option 1, option 2, option 3, to move forward. I don't know that any steps have been taken. I believe that the entities are just still talking together. So we're not eliminating one versus the other. It's not a merger, and it's simply to create a new volunteer ambulance corps. The village cannot support that volunteer ambulance corps either, but it would be a way for cost savings, to merge resources, to merge assets, so we don't have to duplicate efforts. That was the purpose of this evening's report from the Volunteer Ambulance Corps, to see where they were with choosing one of the 3 goals, which they said they could do within a week of the July 7th date, and then to proceed. So that I can only tell you that it's against the law for you to pay a volunteer ambulance corps because that would be a gift of taxpayer money.
So can I just clarify for the public also that the VAC is a nonprofit entity that is separate from the village?
Correct.
And can you help us understand, Lori, if a new entity is formed, which is not Irvington, it's not subsuming Dobbs into Irvington, it's a new entity, are we able to provide any funding to that entity and on what basis and for what period of time?
You can provide
legally?
funding to a new volunteer ambulance corps or any services they might provide above and beyond what the law requires them to already provide. So you could not pay them salaries to paid employees, even of Rivertown Volunteer Ambulance Corps, because that is an obligation. They need to man and serve under their certificate.
Okay. So, yeah, I think I just want to say, like, for all of you for whom we are very grateful, and also for the public who's kind of hearing, I'm sure, a lot of this for the first time, this law is incredibly complicated and incredibly counterintuitive. It seems kind of crazy, and it seemed crazy to me the first time I heard it, that we can be a village that has a volunteer fire department and we can be in charge of the budget of that, but we can't be in charge of the volunteer ambulance corps. It has to be a separate entity, or whether it's a for-profit, ambulance company, or whether it's a nonprofit, it has to be an independent corporation. We are not allowed to pay that entity directly. I understand that there may be other municipalities elsewhere who are choosing to pay those entities directly.
In some cases, they are departments.
Okay, well, whether it's, whether it's whatever it is, if it's this same format and they're being paid directly by the municipality, we have been advised that legally we are not allowed to do that. That would be illegal. We have been advised that we were allowed to do that coming out of COVID for obvious reasons of the emergency declaration, and that there's no way for us to continue that emergency declaration legally. And I'm sure everyone can understand that as fiduciary stewards of this village, we, of course, are not going to flout legal advice, not only from our own counsel, but from experts on New York State law with whom we have consulted multiple times on this very obscure and very complicated and confusing set of laws. We are not going to flout that set of laws and do something different, of course, and I'm sure no one would ask us to do that. So we are dealing with a set of constraints that is challenging and a financial environment that is challenging for everyone. And of course, our top priority is the safety and health of our community. And, frankly, I understand that we're all, we're doing the comments and, we would never do anything to endanger the health and well-being of this community.
We live here also.
We live here.
We have
want,
family
when my
members here
kids
also.
need to call the ambulance, of course, I mean, that's, so, I just think that, things are, it's a little hot right now, but we're all people. This is one community. We are doing our best, truly, earnestly. We are doing our best. We have gotten all of the advice that we can to make the best fiduciary and safety and health set of recommendations that we can based on the constraints that we are faced with, and we want to work at the back. We believe that a new entity that services these two river towns is an option that we should be very carefully looking at, and hope that we can partner with you to continue to look at those options. And I also want to say, in contrast to a couple of things that were brought up before, the idea is not that, also for the record, the idea is not that the ambulances are going to be in Irvington and the Irvington ambulances will be servicing Dobbs Ferry. The idea is that the Dobbs Ferry house will continue to, the house that is in Dobbs Ferry, which is owned by the village of Dobbs Ferry, which is where the DFVAC is based, will continue to service Dobbs Ferry as well as all the mutual aid calls that are made. And the Irvington facilities will continue to service the Irvington needs as well as any mutual aid calls. So it's not that we're saying it's all going there. We're saying folks who volunteer and work for Rivertown's VAC and are dedicated to the Dobbs Ferry needs, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, I hope that will include many of you on an ongoing basis. Irvington will do that house will do the same, but the sort of back end and the financial operations potentially could be better served, and our community could be better served, and in fact, maybe potentially better served by having two houses that are in better coordination. Now, I have not been in these conversations. I'm only, with your leadership, with the DFX leadership, and with our, attorney and everything, I only have like the vaguest contours of this conversation. I just wanted to kind of level set because there's a lot of accusations flying here, and I completely understand that folks are feeling vulnerable, and of course, when it seems like some rug is being ripped out from underneath us, like we want to protect this, the entity that you are a part of, and I completely understand that. I just hope that let's continue these conversations from a place of like assuming goodwill. I know like maybe that ship has sailed on some fronts, but like we really want to protect this village. We all live here. Our kids are all here. No one wants inferior ambulance service. We know that you all are wonderful folks who can and will continue to provide that for the village of Dobbs Ferry, and we are so grateful for that. And maybe there are some additional things we can be doing because we have to financially, but also because it could be a benefit to everyone. So I hope that in that spirit, like, let's get all the information before lobbying these ideas around. And I personally will just say, again, I was not in all these conversations, but if anyone, my email is trustee.galen@dobbsferry.gov. If anyone wants to just get a coffee and like hash out some of these details, I would love to hear from you. Just putting that out there, rant over, but yeah, thank you for your patience. I'm sorry to cut you guys off. I just wanted to make sure we had a little common information here.
Okay.
All right. Good afternoon or good evening. My name is Walter.
Soon to be good morning.
I'm with Terrytown EMS, one of the lieutenants over there, former lieutenant of Dobbs Ferry EMS years ago, where I was a volunteer at. Actually, a little bit about me, I started not wanting to be an EMT. I just wanted to just ride on the ambulance, and then I started to learn more, and I rode with Norbert a lot, and I wanted to be an EMT. They were able to sponsor me, got my EMT, right, rose through the ranks, spent 5-6 years there, and then I moved to Florida, but I'm back. This agency is absolutely incredible. Their identity, right, it's posted on the back of their ambulance, not just a ride to the hospital, right? We do all types of standby events. We've gone to to the Master's School, done presentations there. They are a wonderful agency for their name to be just stripped from them and just be, just a ambulance of Rivertown's EMS. The agency that is doing the merger, right? If they're getting funding from their village, and you guys talk about that is, I'm sorry.
There's a condition in the agreement that they create this entity. So they're doing the same thing we're offering to do for this 6-month period.
So I can tell you, I've been in EMS for 8, 9, 10 years now, worked for many different agencies and still do around Westchester. They had approached us about a year ago, and we shut that down because it wasn't feasible for any type of merger, at least for us at that time. Plus, the person running the show just wasn't a good
Be careful
leader.
what you say.
Okay? And how do I say this?
Be careful what you say. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying
know.
this as, whatever, just be careful before you talk about individuals.
We and other agencies had shut down the idea of a merger for a reason, and as Ms. Dickinson said, that there was a condition, right, that they received payment for a reason. So for Dobbs Ferry to be kind of picked out and lose their identity, I don't think is right.
Okay.
So if there's a way, and you had said, earlier that, actually I wrote it down verbatim. You said, as it's set up right now, right, that Dobbs Ferry VAC cannot receive funding from you guys, as it's set up right now. So if there's a way to set it up where they don't lose their identity, right, and they can remain doing their job as is, I think that, that avenue should be taken if, or, if not spoken about yet. All right?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Hi, my name is Mary Beth. I've been a 40-year member of the Dobbs Ferry Ambulance Corps, so this touches my heart. We, as Dobbs Ferry Ambulance Corps, respond to over 800 calls a year. We beat Irvington, we beat Ardsley, we beat Hastings. We cannot combine with Hastings at this time because they're supported by their fire department. So that leaves just either Ardsley or Irvington. We go to Ardsley often because they can't get their ambulance out. We go to Irvington. We go to Hastings. It's something that you just need to be aware of, that we're covering with our one crew a day. We're covering all the villages, and there are times when we have 2 calls at the same time. And hopefully, sometimes some of them can come in, and sometimes they have to wait till our crews free up. I just feel that you need to be aware of that. I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? You talking about a different issue? Okay, so let's just stay on, does anybody else want to talk about the same issue? Okay, if not, you guys want to stay longer, we'll go forward with the regular meeting.
It's nothing.
Come on up, I'm giving you, you're not supposed to do this twice, but.
I guess today, special appearance. All right. So, something that EMT Darling had said earlier about the whole mutual aid process, that they're being set up to fail by this other agency, and I'll tell you why. As he said, there's a list, right, that 6E Control is supposed to go down in terms of who to call next, okay? There was a switch, a swap, whatever it was. So in that case, right, now that agency is now getting less calls responding to the neighboring agency. So that's just something to keep in mind, that I think that they're also being kind of set up to fail in terms of reducing their calls, which in turn decreases revenue for them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So if there's nothing further, you guys want to leave, you could leave now. Now's a good time. If you want to keep staying, that's up to you. So thank you again for your service. No, thank you. Okay.
Good evening. Daniel Burgess, volunteer with the Conservation Advisory Board. I wanted to say on behalf of the Conservation Advisory Board, thank you for, with everything going on, you guys are dealing with a lot. I appreciate everyone. I appreciate everyone in the room, working on a really complex issue like that, and you have a lot of other things going on. So I appreciate that you have a resolution tonight for the deer management program, which is so important for the Jurang Estate, which is the biggest nature preserve, 70 acres in the village, and also a critical environmental area. You had also commissioned a study on the vegetation. I don't think so, you don't have the report yet. You probably heard about it. The Jurang Nature Preserve is, in really, really bad shape. The ecologist who did the study has never, it's like it's some of the worst deer browsing in the village. There are sections of the woods that are completely barren, and she did not find any areas that served as a refuge for plants from the deer. Everything has been browsed heavily, including invasive plants that the deer typically don't eat, like wineberry and knotweed, Japanese knotweed. So, I totally understand. Oh, he's gone. But it's like he was saying, right? The deer, it's not going to take care of all the issues in the village. But the Conservation Advisory Board, appreciates that you're keeping this on the agenda as well, and hopefully passing the resolution for the deer management plan, so it can get started in October for the season. And also, the quick update, the CLB had a volunteer event on Saturday at Chauncey Park. The deer fence for the pollinator garden is done. Volunteers did some reading of invasive plants and planting native plants for the pollinator garden. And I hope you also approve the fall volunteer events tonight. It's great to be part of the village. It's like the CAB bringing opportunities for high school students to volunteer and so on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
for all the
efforts
great
that you've
work.
done. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Vicky.
Vicki Jones, 55 Grandview Avenue, Dobbsbury, New York. I left my notes over there. Oh, okay. Anyhow, I want to talk to you about a couple of different things. One is the parking situation. I know it never goes away, but people are bothering me, telling me that they can only park their car for 2 hours, that they can't renew their car after 2 hours. Can you give me some advice on how they can renew their car after 2 hours?
So you can, in the downtown district, which is Cedar and Main, we now added a third hour. So if you, because of concerns like that, we did turn that into a 2-hour zone initially, whenever that was, a year and a half ago, to create more movement in the downtown, and to incentivize folks to park in the lots for longer periods of time where it's also less expensive to park. However, if you do want that third hour, we have added it. You can, I think only initially do 2 maybe, Margaret, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but then you can add a third. So it is.
You can add a third, okay,
and
so I'll tell.
That has been the case for some time.
It has to be in like the very last minute, like the last 10 minutes or something.
Really? You can't do 3 hours initially, you can add.
I think you might have to run 2 transactions, but I don't know that it's, well, I'm not totally sure. Happy to talk to you more about that. I've thought a lot about this.
Okay.
If that's not the case.
Luckily, I don't really have that problem too often, but the situation is this, where I do have a problem, is that the library has programs, and just this week, we started having a Mahjong teaching program that goes from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. The people that are attending the class, that's a 2-hour class, cannot park their car, walk into the library, attend a class, and get back to their car before they're eligible for a ticket. It's not encouraging for people to be able to come to the library and be part of our community. My God, if I have to watch a clock and just 10 minutes before I have to put more money in the meter, that's like crazy. It's really hard for people that, I can understand, believe me, I know why you don't want to do it. But, it's for people that, people tell me, I can't have a cup of coffee at Basilio's and then go to the library because it's a different zone and I've already parked my car once in the village. And I just tell them, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
Jessica, I'm going to get your phone number. I'm going to put it in not your phone number. I'll get your email and I'll just say, here's who to talk to, because.
You can send them all to me. Absolutely.
All right, because I just.
We have looked at this 8 million ways from Sunday, and it is a real stinker of a problem. So I'm always open to any ideas. We have revised our initial set of.
I don't know if the village would
multiple
consider
times.
when people attend special programs at the library, would they be able, the people that attend those programs, could they get a parking pass or something
I
from?
would suggest that have someone from the library board contact the chief of police and the village administrator, and maybe they can work something out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mayor Rosselli. Okay, 2 more issues. I'll make them
More
brief.
issues. You have 3 minutes. How many are we up to so far?
All right, well, if a problem wasn't so complex, I don't want to come back to 3 more meetings. You don't want that, I don't
Look
think.
forward to seeing you always, Vicki.
The second thing I wanted to talk about was that purple building on Lower Main Street issued a violation for painting the building that color.
Blue one, Rivertones?
There's no code violation.
I think there is.
Not for color.
No,
Not the color?
not for code.
Nope.
Oh, my God. I miss the days of the Architectural Review Board where a sign had to be approved.
Mine still does.
That's item number 2. That's item number 2. What do you
And
got
there
for
still
number-
is an architectural review
Come on.
board.
But I don't have to review that kind of a change?
Vicki, what's item number 3 you want to talk about?
The second thing I want to talk to you about is really the thing that brought me to your meeting.
Good.
Okay. I'm appalled at all of these damn wires that are hanging on the telephone pole. And I said, it just can't be. It just can't be. So I did some research. I drafted a letter. I got distracted by the dog situation. But here's the letter I was originally going to send to you for tonight's meeting, and I'll email it after tonight's meeting. Dear Rosselli and members of the village board, I'm writing to bring to your attention the issue of growing concern in our community, the accumulation and excess slack wires on utility poles throughout the village of Dobbs Ferry. These abandoned and poorly managed cables often belong to telephone, cable, and other providers, not only create a visual blight, but also safety hazards for pedestrians, motorists, and utility workers. The neighboring town of Greenburgh has already addressed this problem by enacting an ordinance that requires all utility wiring on poles to be properly contained within the pole or secured by flush mounting conduit. Their code also prohibits the hanging of loose coils, loops, and accumulation of excess wiring. These common sense measures will improve safety and aesthetics in our community while also ensuring accountability from utility couples. I respectfully urge the Village of Dobbs Ferry to consider adopting a similar ordinance. Such action would be enhance the safety of our streets and sidewalks by eliminating hazardous dangling wires, improve the appearance of our neighborhoods and business districts, hold utility providers responsible for maintaining infrastructure in an orderly and responsible manner. I hope that the Village of Dobbs Ferry Board will review Greenberg's ordinance as a model and begin the process of implementing comparison regulations here in Dobbs Ferry. Taking these steps will demonstrate the village's commitment to both public safety and the quality of life for its residents. Thank you for your attention in this important matter and for your continued service to our community.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you.
Please
That's
look into
great.
it.
We look
We
forward to
will.
the letter. Anybody else? Okay, let's move on to some business. So, first item for a resolution is to schedule a public hearing for the leaf blower law. The village met in the workshop session to discuss the leaf blower law, which we will publish and move forward with the public hearing. So is there a motion to schedule a public hearing on September 30th, 2025, to consider a local law amending the noise provisions in the Dobbs Ferry Code and set January 1st, 2026 as the deadline to prohibit the use of all gas-powered leaf blowers in the village? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Rosen, Asher, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 2, we are accepting the resignation of the Dobbs Ferry Public Library Board of Trustee, Alyssa Kocharuba. Sorry to see her go, but we do accept her resignation. Is there a motion to accept the resignation? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 3. Is there a motion to authorize the closure of Main Street from Oak Street to Elm Street on Sunday, October 12th, 2025, from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. for the Dobbs Ferry Fire Department annual inspection? Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor? Passes unanimously. Action item number 4, we had talked about this in the courtesy of the floor. This is a discussion regarding the deer management. So first, let's put it out there. Is there a motion to authorize the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Kelly Deer Management for deer management services? Trustee Rosenberg, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. So we've alluded to it, and that will be a cull. The balance is not to exceed $37,500. And then we'll get a report on how that worked at the Juring Estate. We got to take a step on this. The action item number 5, we had already voted on the contract for Verde Electric to repair the traffic signal. However, we had mistakenly alluded to the New York State contract when I believe it was based upon a piggyback of a different contract. I think it was New Rochelle, so we have to make a change in that. So is there a motion to amend the resolution authorizing a contract with Verde Electric Maintenance Corp. For traffic signal repair and replacement work at Ashford Avenue and Washington Avenue? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 6 is a motion to allow the police department to accept a grant for traffic safety funding for the period of October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. So is there a motion? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 7. Rick, can you come up here and talk to me, Talk to us a little bit. What exactly is this software going to do?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm looking to provide your officers with some real-time software that will enable them during critical incidents, set up assets. Additionally, this software will enable us to potentially partner with the fire department. We can license this type of computer software, which again, during critical incidents where decision-making is extremely critical and important to make sure that we have an understanding of what is going on around us. Everything will then kind of come through the software, through the department vehicle laptops. So like the on-scene supervisor can potentially set up and coordinate, say we have a missing child. By utilizing this interface, he'd be able to potentially set up a perimeter based off of proprietary technology that they have that takes into account topography, obstacles as we set up a perimeter so we can protect our scene. So as we conduct, again, that could be jumped into, say, when we prepare for the Ferry Festa, as we set up our operation plans, we can have an overview, which instead of just using paper and pen, this provides that real-time factor, amongst other things. There are 6 modules that the way I'm looking to have this purchased. It's called Leo Site, and I still have $10,303 remaining in my law enforcement tech grant from last year. So what I was hoping to do with this resolution is to transfer some funds from a civilian line that currently is not used due to an extended leave to cover the remaining balance of this purchase. Yes.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, on this program, is it going to suggest what you should do, like a response? Like, is it?
It's not
I don't want to say
suggesting, no.
AI,
So
but
it's
it's
not like
taking-
an AI that's suggesting, it's enabling the officer in the field by going to the laptop to be able to, through GPS mapping, to say a scene. Let's say we have something that is kind of like the waterfront during the 4th of July picnic in the park. We'll be able to, as we work our ops plans, we'll be able to set up our assets, whether it's police, whether it's fire, whether it's EMS. We'd be able to track the officers based off of the GPS in their radios. So we will know in real time where officers are. So as Dobbs Ferry officers are moving, or if we need to deal with a situation, that supervisor will be able to see that from his car or from his cell phone and be able to move them around, as well as keep track of what is going on. And it's another layer that we're trying to provide the officers during those particularly stressful situations to be able to see the bigger picture. Because obviously, as that tunnel vision occurs, where they're seeing what's occurring in front of them, we still want the supervisor to be able to see above and beyond. And what's interesting and makes this particular software unique, what I have not come across, is the ability that we can license this out, so I can partner with other departments within the Village of Dobbs Ferry. So this is not just specific to the PD. This could also function with, say, the fire department. If they're working an active fire scene, they will be able to get online, see what assets they're utilizing, especially as they go mutual aid with other fire agencies coming in. They keep track of the apparatus as well as their personnel while we're functioning along the same lines as we're assisting them, but our 2 operations will not collide. So we'll be able to see our own section of the map as well as, and they would have their own. So it's kind of an interesting, and like I said, this company is relatively new in New York. So they're trying to get a footprint, so I'm just kind of curious to see how this potentially works out for the village of Dobbs Ferry and public safety.
So if I read this correctly, this is a 3-year license?
It would be a 3-year license.
Right.
If at the end that we don't like it or it doesn't work properly, we just walk away.
And you, in your memo, you describe how you're going to pay for it in year 1, but years 2 and 3.
I would have to budget properly within the, my maintenance contract line.
Okay, so, but you're prepared to do that so that there's not going to be, you know, another additive thing that we're going to have to budget for next year? Okay.
Any other questions for the chief?
Can you describe, understanding that there are like privacy considerations, could you describe an actual scenario that where this, and your understanding of how the software works, where it could have been deployed and it would have either saved
Correct.
safety, time, money?
A few years back, we had a burglary in progress here on Main Street. Suspect fled. We went mutual aid. We had numerous outside agencies coming in. So from the street, the on-duty supervisor is attempting to coordinate assets as we're trying to set up a perimeter along Main Street. As we're getting all these extra units coming in, that supervisor has to now try to keep track of, where did I send that Irvington car? Where is that Greenberg car? I've got Westchester County Police coming in. So from the mapping, the officer is actually able to, knowing what the company is very user-friendly. So you're able to, on the screen, put in units on an overhead map. And then additionally, based off of when the incident occurred, it's able to potentially track what would, if, let's say our suspect is an adult male, it would know, we knew the incident occurred 5 minutes in the past. The computer is going to be able to tell us what would be the approximate amount of time that person could run to based off the topography, because it will take track of actual mapping. So it'll know what potential obstacles would be in the way, so it can kind of help create a visual, so as we set up that perimeter, which becomes kind of difficult, and you kind of have to estimate, like when you're on scene, depending on the situation. Again, if we're talking, say, a missing person and a child, a 4-year-old child is not going to be able to physically travel as far as, say, an adult would. Again, that software would be able to calculate potentially how big a perimeter, which kind of helps us put the pieces in place as we're trying to set that up. So it's very unique, and I'm just kind of curious to see where this technology goes to. It seems like there's an opportunity to see how this works, and so that was my hope. Is that, normally, the software is approximately $25,000 a year, and they were offering it to $15,000 for us.
$15,000 a year.
Correct.
Got it.
So we had $10,303 remaining from that law enforcement tech grant from last year that I would like to expend, because I am anticipating New York State providing a new tech grant this year. And obviously, I would have to have that kind of balanced down to zero before I, when that does come out, to ask for additional funds, because they did follow up to find out how we have spent our money. So I'd like to get that down to zero.
Got it.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, since it was brought up that this is something that could also support the fire department, I wanted to hear, is this like something that you folks are interested in? Do you see it as potentially helpful? I'm sorry?
Yeah, so for us, it could be extremely helpful, because when we do have a fire, we do have a lot of mutual aid coming in, just because based on, personnel. Like for us, if we have a fire, we have Hastings, Ardsley, Irvington. And, a lot of people do take personal vehicles, like if you miss the truck too. So, if we're able to keep track of people on their radios, it definitely would be a benefit to us on the fire scene as far as accountability goes.
And can you just punch in, like, we've got, a Greenberg car coming in. Can you just like punch them in and all of a sudden they light up on your screen?
So they have assured us, and I've seen demos of the product, that, yeah, they can create, the officer in the moment can create the icon for a patrol car. So he would be able to indicate that that is, say, a Greenberg vehicle versus an Irvington car. It's extremely user-friendly is what they're telling us. Obviously, I'd like to put it through its paces. I believe it's something that can really assist our officers with their decision-making during those critical incidents, and it's just, I'd like to see where that goes.
Okay.
It says floor plans are available?
What's that?
It says that you can,
We can, we could upload any
Upload
floor plans,
floor
yes.
plans?
So if I could take just through any floor plans, I'd say like the high school, Mercy College, we can upload those floor plans
Okay.
into the software. So if we had an incident at, say, Mercy, that will already be built into the system. So it really, it's what we choose to put into. So a lot of our infrastructure, whether it's any of the schools in Dobbs Ferry or anything that we come across that we think that could be useful for information and handling a situation, that can be uploaded into the system. It will know and then can extrapolate from there.
How much manpower is it going to take to set this up to do things like that?
They're saying it's quite easy. They'll assist us with the software.
Of course they're saying it, they're selling it.
Yeah, of course. No, from what they're saying, they're saying it's not a lot of manpower, that it's pretty intuitive, that they're going to work with us every step of the way. It's not additional cost. There's no extra fees as far as, there's nothing hidden is what they're telling me. They do want to see this succeed. I do know that they've been using this software from what they had advised out in California to help track like wildfires. It can extrapolate data based off of windage. So this is something that does have very unique abilities, and I suspect there's probably a lot more that we're not even sure yet what we can apply it for as we become comfortable. I'm looking forward on the day-to-day for the patrol officers, for the sergeants, to have just another tool in their toolkit during events that will kind of give them the ability to see a bigger picture versus what's right in front of them.
And it looks like they're willing to train an unlimited number of users, so they might be able to actually train
Correct. So
your
it'll key
fire
in,
department
I know, like with our cars or with our radios that we carry, there is a GPS identifier in there, so that would be for officer safety. That would be able to provide that. That's what I'm talking about. So the sergeant, at least for the Dobbs Ferry cars, will be able to see where the car is versus where the patrolman, because just knowing that a car might be on Broadway Cedar may not be enough, because once that officer exits that car, under the current situation, we wouldn't know where he is. So if that officer is in foot pursuit or we have some type of issue with the radio, at least now the radio will be connected. And I'm going to bet that the radios that the fire department uses also have that capability, and that's kind of how we can extend that to fire as well, which is extremely important.
Okay.
Have you spoken with any of the agencies in California who have used this?
Just with the, no, I have not spoken.
Okay, I would love to.
I know, that's what she said.
I know, everyone's mad at me for asking questions.
No,
we're not.
not at all.
Oh, okay, good.
Good job.
We love more questions.
Of course, we want to support your team, and we want to support fire department. I think we've approved a bunch of kind of greater surveillance tools recently. We haven't really heard what impact those are having. I would love to start to hear some of that before we do. Of course, this is like, tracking.
This really isn't more.
I understand
Yeah, this isn't really
it's attached to
surveillance
the vehicles, but, we're in a different world than we were when we approved a whole bunch of cameras. And we also just haven't heard like how those are going, and I understand it's a long lead time, but it's just like we keep adding more and more tech, and like I don't, at least personally, have a great understanding of how that's improving outcomes, and I want to understand like what those outcomes are so we can, again, better support you. I would love to hear what these California, like maybe there's a competitive product that's going to be 10 grand in 6 months that we should look at instead, or whatever. And, I certainly would want to check references before we committed to a $45,000 investment over the next 3 years. And I think that, this is something that it sounds like the scenario that you painted for us, which is incredibly important to try to like give the team as much of a toolkit as possible to manage that like manhunt as efficiently and safely as possible. That was from a few years ago, so it sounds like, I understand there's like a deal to be had right now, but maybe we should just take a second before committing to that. So I would love to hear from you if you have a chance to speak to some other agencies who have used it and hear about their experiences with it personally.
Do so.
Okay, let's just see if there's a consensus. So, actually, I need to put it up for, well, let's do a consensus. So,
All right, I just want to, so you're saying that you already have over $10,000 that's left over from a grant that you got from technology, and the other money is just you're moving money from one line in your budget to the other line of your budget, and then for the next 2 years, you're confident that within your budget, you'll be able to cover this?
That's correct.
Okay,
how do you feel about it?
fine.
But that would presumably mean
I
the
feel
budget
okay
would
about it, 'cause
increase
it
by
sounds like-
$15,000.
No, he's saying that we can do it without increasing the budget.
Without increasing. the
As
budget.
not
as
increasing
long
the
as you
budget,
don't come and ask us for more money for it.
No, the money is already budgeted.
No, for year 2 and year 3. Is
But I
the,
do
if
think-
the budget is currently $100, is it going to be $115 next year?
It would be 15, the RMS system for Central Square will be coming off, regardless of what happens. I have, there is money in my maintenance contract line as Central Square comes off of my, we move away from that RMS system, so that annual service contract won't be utilized, so there would be money there, correct?
It won't increase, but it denies a decrease.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, let's move forward one way or another on this.
Definitely at 8:30.
Is there a motion to authorize the police
Excuse me,
department?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm going to add to the issue here. This authorizes the budget transfer, but it doesn't authorize execution of an agreement. So we should have, make sure that be it further resolved. You have to be able to authorize execution of an agreement with this entity.
Can we talk to references
Isn't it just a
before we
purchase
vote
of
this
software?
forward, though?
No, actually, there's services included in this as well, so, and there's no out provision. It's a full 3 years, so, I'd like to maybe add our standard contract ability for budgeting purposes.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Jeff is nodding his head as well. I have a standard provision that I add as an addendum to all contracts that allows you in your purview to say, we haven't appropriated the fund for this, so we have to be able to not continue, so.
Okay, so I'm going to modify it that way. So is there a motion to authorize the police department budget line transfer for software purchase and the authorization to enter into a contract subject to the review by the village attorney?
Thanks.
Is there a motion? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rothrock. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All against? Got that, Laura, Liz?
Yes.
Rosenberg and Galen.
Okay.
I would just also reiterate that it would still be great if you could speak to references. Thank you.
Okay, next action item, is there a motion to approve the request to close 23 Sherman Avenue on September 27th, 2025, with a rain date of September 28th, 2025? Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the request to close 42 Bel Air Drive, I guess, for the purpose of a block party on October 31st from 4 to 10 p.m.? Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Rosenberg, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 10, we have 10 and 11, which deal with money, giving money back, which we never really like to do, but this has been resolved with our attorney and I believe the school district. So is there a motion to authorize a tax certiorari settlement with 72-75 Main Street LLC for a property located on 72 Main Street, which totals from the tax year from 2017 to 2022, $2,699.87. Trustee Rosen Asher, second. Trustee Galen, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 11, right? Yeah. Is same situation. Is there a motion to authorize a tax certiorari
We
settlement
need to cheat you in the first place.
for property located at 255 Clinton Avenue, which covers the tax year 2025 through 2026 in the amount of $7,264.38. Is there a motion? Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor? That passes unanimously. Action item number 12. Is there a motion to authorize a step increase for Building Department Senior Office Assistant Sarah Collins?
This was budgeted already?
Budgeted
It
already?
was budgeted already, and it's pursuant to her status, her length of time.
Then yes.
So trustee Nell, second, trustee Rothrock, all in favor, that passes unanimously. Action item number 13, is there a motion to authorize a step increase for Building Department Fire Inspector Russell Maitland? Trustee Rosen Asher, second, trustee Rothrock, all in favor, that passes unanimously. Is there a motion to accept a $250 donation from the Pilzer Foundation? Trustee Nell, second, trustee Rothrock, all in favor. We appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. That passes unanimously. Is there a motion to approve the audit of claims as submitted and recommended by the village treasurer? Trustee Galen, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor. That passes unanimously. I think I have to add one more to the agenda. Is there a motion to add a resolution for the acceptance of a donation of plants in the amount of $500? Trustee Rothrock, trustee Rosen Asher, all in favor. That passes unanimous. So it's added to the agenda. Now we have to vote on it. Is there a motion to accept the donation of plants for the Chauncey Park Pollinator Garden and to approve the fall 2025 CAB volunteer event schedule? Trustee Rothrock, second. Trustee Nell, all in favor. That passes unanimously. We want to thank Gabrielle Tujen for donating the
That
plants.
is Gabby Jaden.
Jaden, thank you for $500. I'd like to, but tell me if there's something that has to be discussed. Can we waive the discussion of trustee reports, or do you guys have something?
We could waive everything.
I have a
Barking, barking,
a
barking.
report in verse.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
No. Go right ahead and wait.
All right.
Iambic pentameter?
Is there a motion to end tonight's meeting? Trustee Rothrock, second trustee Nell, all in favor?
Welcome, Laura.
Whoa.
You're not